Hello and greetings from Iceland. Today's video is all about tension as we are now waiting for what could be the next big event. And as sometimes before, experts do not agree on the outcome and their answers tend to change. Like one of our fine professors, Þorvaldur Þórðarson, was saying 3 days ago that since the magma chamber is full now, something will give in within 48 hours. A day later, he backed out a little and spoke of several days, and his reaction, although we wish to get more details, had their own story to tell about uncertainty. He is not afraid to get things wrong, and the Met Office came with their own announcement yesterday, like they were expecting something to happen in the next hours, and they seemed to expect a big eruption. So I took off to the Blue Lagoon under the impression that it would be my last chance to do some filming around there. The Spettercon had never been so calm before, so I did my daily filming above it and drove back to the city and found yet another news article where Professor Þorvaldur was accusing the Met Office to be overcooking the events that might be about to come, saying it's no reason to scare us with a few kilometer-long fissure opening up suddenly. And the civil defense follows the Met Office when it comes to science. But the professor, who is also a doctor in volcanology, points out that the magma will follow the easiest path after the magma chamber pressurizes. And it's fairly easy to assume that the ongoing eruption will therefore just power up for a while, making it unlikely that we will see a highly dramatic event, since we have already this active vent there. So the media called in the third expert, actually one of the oldies, Mr. Páll Einarsson, former research scientist at the University of Iceland, and he mentioned a separate eruption because we don't know that much about the plumbing system through this magma chamber under Svartsengi. So he was telling us to get ready for a surprise. And that made me think about one more professor, Magnús Tumi Guðmundsson. He was saying the other day that it bothers him when his colleagues talk about a separate eruption, since it would just be a part of this ongoing event. So, as for information, there is never a dull moment when our experts don't agree on things. But when I go after facts only, such as ground uplift, we've been told it's decreasing, which happens to be one of the signs we get shortly before eruptions. But from the air, this is how this melting pot looked today. And it was only in the last 3 days when I noticed some real changes. The eruption has been powering down, although I do see it power up from time to time. So it is not as stable as it was just a few days ago. And I've been filming the crater every day since April 24th. I am documenting the changes in the crater, and I tend to forget myself when I'm staring at the fire on the remote control while filming this. The original plan was to be in Reykjavík for 2 or 3 days, get the landscape changes that I need to document and more. But now, since I have so much footage from the Spettercon already, it's hard to stop. So it looks as I will be staying for a while, or based in Reykjavík while this is going on. And it's more going on here actually, like a new earthquake swarm south of the city. It started 3 days ago. The location could be better. This is by enormous fault that is due for a magnitude 6+ earthquake. So all earthquakes there get my full attention, especially since I've been seeing them line up along the fault recently. But this might also just be a part of general changes in tension on a peninsula, or the aftermath from those huge events by Grindavík. And I can fully admit that there are days when I've just headed with the Grindavík project due to how things have developed. It's a project that comes with many mood swings, so it's hard to imagine how the people who once belonged to this community feel now. It is worse than the media talks about. I know that for a fact. And it is no surprise. They are once again waiting for those 10 million cubic meters of magma that once again have accumulated just by the town, and although it's a relatively small amount of magma, the consequences can be devastating. And even though we got some good news yesterday, or over 500 properties have now been purchased from their owners so they can invest elsewhere and move on with their lives, those contracts are also sealing the fate of the community that once was. So there are mixed feelings every step of the way. But this chapter will however come to an end at this location. They always do. But due to this steady inflow into the deeper magma chamber that feeds the whole scenario, the end is not in sight. So all I can do is to follow up on this as well as I can. It's been a while since I figured out that my updates would be a good material for a documentary, and the landscape changes are also an important part of this, since I know for a fact that in some cases I was the last person to film some of the landscape there, or before the November 10th event that started all this mess, or bits like this, the Sund Hnúkar craters before the first eruption. So it's an enormous amount of footage that I have already. I came back with 40 gigabytes from today's tour. It took me 2 hours to film it, but it will never take me less than a day to process all the files, so I've been quite busy when I'm not filming. And finally, I want to say this whole project would be impossible without my channel supporters. It's so many of you that have been helping out, but I want to say that you made it possible for me to throw everything else away, to stay in Reykjavík, 500 kilometers away from home, week after week, month after month, and like now I'm doing trips to the Reykjanes Peninsula every day, sometimes twice a day, all in order to document this huge event into the future from my perspective and feelings when those events took place. So channel supporters are not just helping me, they are helping the coming generations to see this huge event as we saw it. So I am hoping that the importance of this work will grow by time, and with that I'm sending you best regards from the volcano island Iceland.